Hey everyone, I am making soap today. So basically I already kind of got started because I had an idea of what I had in mind and I wanted to get it going because it's going to have 2 batches. So this is my typical batch that I usually do and I'll put the recipe in the description. But it's a slower moving recipe, but it still has some harder oils to keep it from going soft. Then I also put in some sodium lactate, you know, some stuff to kind of make it smooth. Oh, and there's also, in my lye formulation, there is some silk in there. And that's also, I've done that for years, and it just really makes a difference in the soap. Anyway, so my design is going to be interesting. You probably can't see it from here, but these are my molds. You know. So these are the ones that I'm going to be focusing on. I know it's kind of zoomed in and not very clear, but I have them at an angle because I want to kind of just pour some into the corners here to make it like a kind of a triangle shape. But I'm not going to be able to fill the whole mold, which this recipe is meant to fill one of these entire molds. And so since I'm only filling like half of it, I need to have 2 recipes so that I can fill 2 of these with half of one of these, if that makes any sense whatsoever. If I have any left over, I usually like to pour them in my little square mold here, so that's why this is here. Anyway, so I've already melted my oils in this one. I have not melted them in this one, as you can see, but this is going to come later because my design, since I have the triangle, I'm going to have to let it harden just a little bit before I can do this one, and so when it's hardening I'll have time to work on this one anyway, so I'm just going to leave that here for now and work on this one. So this one I melted. My temperature is at about 117 degrees right now. I usually like to let it go down a little bit lower than that because if your temperature is really high, your recipe wants to either seize or just move really fast, and we don't want that. We want it to run a little bit slower, even though I'm only using one color and I'm only pouring it in one form. I'm not designing it at all. It's just one color triangle pour. I have never used this fragrance oil before. I don't know if you can see that here. This is called Blue Maho from Wholesale Supplies Plus. I've never used it before, so I don't know how it behaves. And usually fragrances are what can make or break your recipe as far as like seizing or accelerating. And because of that, I want to just do my recipe like I normally would, slow moving, low temperatures, all that good stuff, so I can see how this behaves at the most ideal conditions. That way I know in the future if I like this and if my customers like this scent, I can order it again and know what to expect. But anyway, so earlier I showed you my little lye concoction here. I've actually got 2 of these, and we kind of want these at the same temperature too. This actually feels kind of like it's cooling down. It's still very warm to the touch, but lye will get up to about 200 degrees C, which is very hot. Or maybe, I'm sorry, not 200 C, 200 Fahrenheit, big difference. So that's very hot, and we don't want it that high. This is telling me it's about 126 right now, so I gotta let this cool down a little bit, and let this cool down a little bit. And while that's happening, I use this little wooden slab to kind of protect. I have wax paper laid down, and then I have this. I have a solid surface countertop in my kitchen, and I really don't want to risk damaging it at all. It's not like a horribly expensive countertop, but it's very beautiful, and I don't want to mess it up. So I know I set my mixer on the countertop, and it left a little bit of a ring, and I didn't tell my husband, and he probably hasn't noticed, so hopefully he doesn't. But I mean, it's not horribly noticeable, but it's still like obviously my mixer is gonna have an effect if I put soap batter on there. But I can tell you some of like my plans for colors. So in here I have this black sparkle mica color, and basically what mica is well, I honestly don't know exactly what mica is, but anytime I get it, it's like a really sparkly powder. It's not like glitter, it's very fine, it's just sparkly, kind of like an iridescence. So this has like black oxide powder mixed in with the sparkle mica. I also got it from Wholesale Supplies Plus. It stains really easily because of that black oxide, but you just gotta be really careful when you're mixing something like that. Here I just added some, you can't read the label because it's really oily, but this is fractionated coconut oil. It's liquid form, which is the fractionated portion of the, so it stays liquid at room temperature, whereas like regular coconut oil is solid at room temperature. Like what I have in this recipe here. So some of these chunks in here, well, you can't see it, but I got my big old hands in the way. But some of the chunks in here are coconut oil, but there's also palm oil in there. And palm kernel flakes. Okay, so the rest of the colors, I kind of want to, so I'm going to have it at a slant, and then I want to layer stripes over the slant in these other colors. So I got this recently. It's lime green mojito mica powder, but it's like a really nice like chartreuse color. I've got this beautiful, like, it's called amethyst purple. It's like a royal kind of purple. I don't know how well the camera picks up the color, but it's beautiful. And then I got this yellow. This is not a mica powder. This is a neon, and it's supposed to resist color changes based on pH fluctuations. So like that. Well, actually all of these are. And then just, this is matte white pigment powder, but basically it's titanium dioxide, but it's dispersible in water instead of oil or glycerin or whatever. The top portion I'm going to actually fragrance with something different because I only have so much fragrance of each one, and this is a very complimentary fragrance to the Blue Maho. It's called Abalone and Sea. Same place, Wholesale Supplies Plus. I've used it before. I can't really remember. I think it's kind of an average moving recipe, so I have time to work with it. But in this case, I don't care as much because I'm trying to make like straight, solid layers, and I want each one to kind of harden a little bit before I lay the next one. So we'll see how it goes, and it may end up being a complete failure, but you never know. That's the whole thing about experimentation, always experimenting. Oh, and if you're wondering about my thermometer, it's a infrared scanner, and I got it from Amazon for like, I want to say like 10 bucks. It was really cheap, and it's made my life so much easier. So this is 110.5, and then, no, that can't be right. So about 103 for that one. Just having sat here, it's cooled down quite a bit. Okay, well, I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit more and I shall return. Hey all, I am back, and I wanted to share with you something, the most important step. Goggles. I've got an apron on, I don't know if you can see that, and gloves. So I don't typically wear an apron. I've been doing this for like 12 years or so. Never destroyed any clothes, but it's better safe than sorry. I'm very particular about how I do things. That's probably why I've never destroyed any clothes. So it's best if you decide that you want to pursue this, safety first. So gloves, goggles, apron. Anyway, so here we go. What I'm going to do is I like to stir really gently. Some places suggest that you pour down your spoon, which I will for splashing sake. You don't want to splash it around. I like to clean as I go because I hate dishes. And as you can see, it's like, you know, it's starting to get a little bit cloudier, but it's not really doing much yet because I don't have any fragrance in there. I don't have anything but lye and oils, low temperature lye and oils. So I'm gonna rinse this out. Doesn't take much, it's just lye and water, and lye gets used to make pretzels, so it's not really harmful in very small doses, but yeah, so you don't have to like scrub it and get the soap in there if you don't want to. But anyway, so stirring, and now I'm going to add, let's see, what do I want to add first? I think I'll add my color first. I'm just going to stir it in. It's just all black. Make it a little... Okay. Alright, put that aside. I got my handy dandy mixer. I'm only going to give it a couple pulses because I don't want it to move too fast before I get the fragrance in there. Already looking really good. All right. Moment of truth. This is a 2-pound recipe. I'm using about 1.2 ounces of fragrance. Light trace, really. I mean, it still feels kind of thick, but when I try to do the tracing on here, it doesn't, I mean, I can see the line, but it doesn't like stand on top of itself. So this is kind of more of like a light trace. I don't want to mix it too terribly long because my husband is sleeping and it's loud, so I'm going to just go ahead and pour it. So I just have these propped up with an old pepper grinder that I ran out of the pepper, so it's the only thing I had lying around that I probably should have thrown away like a couple days ago, but it just sat on my counter. Anyway, so here we go. I think I'm gonna have a lot of leftover, which is fine. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. I love this color. It's such a, it's not 100% black, but it's very dark gray. Okay. I kind of want, my goal was to kind of get the the top line of the soap to be even with the edge of the mold, like right here, like I did, well, almost on this one, without covering the bottom completely. But at this angle, maybe if I had a more extreme angle, I could do that, but old pepper shaker won't give me that angle, but that's okay. It's already starting to get a little bit thicker, but it's like probably at medium trace right now, which is good. I'm gonna go ahead and push it to the edges because it wants to go that way anyway, so oh well. Okay, so I'm gonna let this harden a little bit. It doesn't have to go completely hard and cure and do all that stuff, but I usually cover these and put them in my oven, not with the oven on, just to set it in there so that it can kind of insulate itself. I can show you my oven too. It's pretty nice. It's a double oven little thingy here, which is pretty cool. And so the space is a lot more compact, and you don't have to worry about the huge open space, so it heats up pretty quickly in there with my soap sitting in there. That's why I put it on a cookie sheet, because I don't want, like, if you put the mold directly on the rack, a lot of times what I find is when the soap heats up and goes through gel phase, it forms like these lines on the bottom of your soap when you unmold it, because it's heating up more in those areas. It's pretty interesting, but not really desired. So I don't know how it's going to do with this pepper shaker, but that's okay. It's going to be standing upright whenever I put the stripes in there. So anyway, didn't need this for now, but I might later, so I'm going to leave it on there. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in my oven and let it solidify for a little bit, and go ahead and start melting my other oils and get those ready. Clean up my little mixer there, and then get my new fragrance measured out and colors measured, and I will return.